That is the memo. Now, for the top story now, let's begin our analysis with Fox News commentator Karl Rove in Washington. Mr. Rove, the best moment.
For Barack Obama, I think you touched on it, the moment where he showed some empathy with people around the country making a sacrifice. But I think your overall analysis is pretty accurate, that he was mailing it in often tonight, going over the talking points. No emotion, no passion, no real connection. He was looking for a chance to say green jobs, energy and green jobs, going to invest in education, and going to control health care costs. And that's all he really wanted to drive home tonight, and he did so.
Do you think he wanted to be boring? Or we're watching it, and remember, we're getting paid to do this. You're getting paid, I'm getting paid, we're getting paid. But I'm trying to think of somebody who'd work hard all day, comes home from work, and sitting through that. I felt like I was at the Kennedy School at Harvard, you know, and I was sitting through this boring professor, and he's seeing the same thing over and over again, and I'm going, do you think he knows that the 13 questions in an hour, that he bloviated all over the place, that he was repetitive? Do you think he knows? Does he want to do that?
Well, I don't know. Look, I've always said I think he's sort of an arrogant guy, and I think he thinks that I'm showing how much I'm in command of this material and how on top I am, and I'm doing the right thing by reciting talking points and by saying things that are simply not true. I could not believe it tonight. We're going to move from an era of borrow and spend to save and invest. This is a man who's proposing to add $9.3 trillion to the national debt in the next 10 years, and that's going to be an era of spend and save and invest rather than save and invest.
But don't you think? Look, your head's going to blow up. Look, again, let's get the folks at home now. They're sitting at home. They don't know 9.6 trillion from what this. Nobody could possibly know. It's too big. You just can't know.
Yeah, but let's put it in simpler terms. He wants to deliberately double the size of the national debt in 5 years and triple it in 10 years.
But
how about that? Is that easier for people to get
it's going to lead to prosperity. He's going to change the economy. He's going to change the energy. He's going to change the health system. It's all going to change, and our investment will come back to us.
If it was leading to prosperity, don't you think the deficits would be getting smaller? I mean, think about this. He says, I'm going to control health care costs by dramatically increasing the size of the federal government spending on health care. Now, please explain that to me.
Because he's going to take over the system.
Become more...
The government's going to take over the system and dictate...
And ration care.
Well, dictate how much you can spend on this, how much you can spend on that. That's the vision, the socialist vision of medicine is the government runs, the government tells the doctors what they can charge, the companies, the medicine companies what they can charge. You know that. That's the rationale.
That's the rationale. But if you look at it, he's leaving the impression that he's going to be spending less on health care because we're going to control health care costs.
Because he's going to
run it. If you look at his own budget document, he dramatically expands spending on health care. I mean, this is why this is duplicitous. This is misleading.
Okay.
In all candor.
Now, what about the press? They sit there and they ask these questions, and he just bamboozles them. I think back to my interview with him, which I enjoyed immensely, and I thought he did very well. Barack Obama did very well. I was like a cougar. I was like right there, you know, and there was only like 6 or 7 inches between. And every time he'd start to get off on his tangent, I go right in like this because he is professorial. That's what he is. So it doesn't matter if the press is there or not. They could have just a recording. Boop. Question goes.
Well, I have to say this, though. They were a little bit more tonight. Chip Reed, I thought it was unusual. He asked a very tough question on the budget. Mike Allen asked a very tough question on his proposal to limit charitable deductions.
But it doesn't matter. He answers whatever he wants to answer.
I understand, but what really matters is the average American, assuming there were average Americans watching this tonight and who stuck through the thing, when they saw Chip Reed ask a tough question about, you say you don't want to pass on problems to the future, well, what about your huge deficits in your budget? And they hear Barack Obama's non-response response, they're going to draw conclusions. There is a reason why anger is growing in this country. There is a reason why people are holding spontaneous tea parties. There is a reason why we hear I should suspect you hear the same thing I do in your travels. People are getting very concerned and anxious, and in some instances angry about the future of the country.
People rally around something like AIG, which is so simple to understand that everybody gets it. Look, the telling moment for me, and I said it in the Talking Points memo, was when Jake Tapper from ABC, a good reporter, says a very simple thing. Mr. President, will you veto the bill if it doesn't have your little cap and thing on the energy deal, or a middle-class tax rebate? It's not a tax cut, it's a tax rebate. They're going to send you money.
Right.
If that's not in there, will you veto it? Now, that's a simple yes or no deal. And he just wouldn't answer it.
Right. You know, you do, in preparing for these news conferences, you do know that those kind of questions are coming, and a president doesn't want to look like he's ready to cut a deal right here at the beginning of the budget process. So there's a little bit of, I do have to defend him a little bit here, because he does want to say, in essence, well, by God, it's going to be in there. But again, you know, he looked to me on that answer like he was sort of mailing it in.
But then he should have just said that.
He was sort of rambling and around.
He should have done just what you said. Hey, look, Jake, I can't tell you what I'm going to do, what I'm going to veto, what I'm not going to veto until I see the whole dang thing.
Right.
That's dang.
But I'm going to be pushing for this every step of the way. Right. Exactly.
Right. So, I don't know. Mr. Rove, I
C performance. B minus.
I just want a little more verve. And Barack Obama can deliver that, but I don't think he wanted to.
And candor.
I think he just wanted to numb everybody.